Henry Kissinger's name conjures images of cold strategy, relentless power plays, and a geopolitical chessboard stained with blood. Born Heinz Alfred Kissinger on May 27, 1923, in Fürth, Germany, he fled the rising tide of Nazism with his family to the United States in 1938. From refugee to Harvard scholar, to national security advisor and Secretary of State under Presidents Nixon and Ford, Kissinger carved out a reputation as a master diplomat. Yet behind the polished veneer lay a man whose policies wrought untold devastation across the globe. A man whose Spartan-like discipline and tactical brilliance were wielded not for honor or justice, but for ruthless dominance and deadly realpolitik. Kissinger's rise was meteoric, a classic immigrant story of intellectual rigor and opportunism. But from the start, his vision of power was unflinching and cold. Where Spartans revered duty to the polis and valor in the face of danger, Kissinger's allegiance was to the abstract game of statecraft, where human lives were pawns and collateral damage mere footnotes. His mind operated in a realm of deception, manipulation, and unyielding pragmatism, often crossing the line into war crimes and crimes against humanity. His role in the Vietnam War alone cements his place among history's darkest figures. Tasked with negotiating an end to the conflict, Kissinger simultaneously oversaw the expansion of a covert bombing campaign across Cambodia and Laos. These secret wars obliterated countless villages, displaced millions, and paved the way for the genocidal Khmer Rouge regime. The so-called killing fields of Cambodia were born from the destruction wrought by Kissinger's orders, a legacy of death that forever stains his name. Estimates suggest that nearly 2 million Cambodians perished under the aftermath of these bombings and the ensuing regime. In Laos, similar carpet bombings devastated rural populations, with tens of thousands killed or maimed. Kissinger's actions were not limited to Southeast Asia. His fingerprints mark atrocities worldwide. In Chile, he backed the 1973 coup that violently ousted democratically elected President Salvador Allende, replacing him with Augusto Pinochet's brutal dictatorship. Pinochet's regime was responsible for tens of thousands of deaths and disappearances. Yet Kissinger supported and sustained it, viewing it as a bulwark against communism at all costs. In East Timor, Kissinger gave a green light to Indonesia's invasion in 1975. The subsequent occupation resulted in the deaths of an estimated 100,000 to 200,000 Timorese, many of them civilians. Despite knowing the consequences, Kissinger's cold geopolitical calculations prioritized strategic alliances over human life. Less known, but equally heinous, is Kissinger's involvement in the 1974 Cyprus crisis. His silence and tacit support enabled the Turkish invasion and partition of the island, exacerbating ethnic tensions and leading to the displacement of thousands. The long-standing division of Cyprus remains a festering wound decades later, another example of Kissinger's destructive legacy. Despite these glaring atrocities, Kissinger's public image remained largely untarnished for decades. He was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize in 1973 for negotiating the Paris Peace Accords, an honor as grotesque as it was ironic given the prolonged suffering and bloodshed under his watch. The prize was widely criticized, and Kissinger famously accepted it with minimal ceremony, while bombing campaigns in Southeast Asia raged on. The Spartan mindset is often celebrated for resilience, discipline, and unyielding courage. Kissinger possessed discipline and strategic cunning, but devoid of ethics or empathy. These traits turned monstrous. His Spartan-like tactical brilliance was channeled into orchestrating coups, enabling dictatorships and perpetuating wars that killed millions. He was the antithesis of the true Spartan ideal, a man who sacrificed humanity for cold power games. Kissinger's tactics relied on secrecy, deception, and a ruthless calculus that treated entire populations as expendable. He championed realpolitik, a philosophy that justifies any means to maintain national interest. This cloak of pragmatism masked crimes that modern courts would call war crimes. Yet Kissinger evaded justice, protected by the very governments and systems he manipulated. Even in his 90s, Kissinger continued to advise and influence foreign policy, refusing to express remorse or acknowledge the destruction he wrought. His memoirs and public appearances maintain a veneer of dignity while glossing over the horrors his policies caused. It is fitting that Kissinger is labeled a paper Spartan. He wielded the image of strength and resolve, but his spine was moral bankruptcy. Unlike the Spartans who fought for their city-state and their people, Kissinger's battles were fought in shadowy corridors of power, where truth was twisted and lives were cheap. The legacy of Henry Kissinger is a cautionary tale of how tactical genius without ethics becomes a weapon of devastation. His actions reshaped geopolitics, but at an incalculable human cost. Millions died, societies were torn apart, and trust in leadership eroded. History will not remember him as a hero, but as a ghoul cloaked in the trappings of power. To those who embody the true Spartan mindset, men and women of honor, discipline, and courage, Kissinger is a warning. Strength without conscience is hollow. Discipline without compassion leads to ruin. The real battlefield is not in waging war, but in standing for justice and humanity, even when it demands sacrifice. Order the Spartan Mindset today and embark on your journey toward becoming the leader your world needs. Let your struggles forge you into a warrior of character and resolve. The Spartan Mindset provides a comprehensive and actionable guide to personal development and resilience. Available now for just $19.99. Purchase your copy from the links in the description box below and on this channel's homepage. Because your future begins with the right mindset. The Spartan Mindset.